So I want to share a story with you. Yeah, I do. Oh, okay, it's going on to 4 a.m. And I don't know why I'm still awake, but here I am. You know, if you're a parent out there, I just want to tell my story. I'm 50 years old, and tonight I was triggered by this memory again. Like, over 40 years later. I think I was 6 or 7 years old when this happened. And I'm 50 now. I used to adore my father, looked up to him, respected him, and loved him. And then, this one night, we were at the fairgrounds. We'd go every year, and we had animals. And the night before the fair started, you could go around in the barns, see the cows and all the animals and the horses and the pigs and the whatever. And I wandered off, and it was just getting dark. It was like 7 o'clock that evening. I remember this story like it happened yesterday. And my parents, I lost them somehow. I went into a little building or something, and I was talking to somebody or looking at an animal or something, and I guess my dad couldn't find me, and he went into freak mode. When I came out, he was quiet all the way home. And we had this room. It used to be a bedroom. As a matter of fact, I think it used to be my room, me and my sister's room. But there was a couch in there and a TV and a bunch of Disney movies. And we walked into the house, and my dad has never shown a sign of anger unless my mother sat on his lap and farted on him silently and walked away. He would swear at her, or if he was working on his motorhome, you'd hear him swearing and cussing, but that was the only time I ever saw him angry, just so you understand. But on this night, he said, "Julie, get into this room." And I went into the room, and I remember the door slamming. I didn't know where my mother was. She was off somewhere. She didn't know what was going on. He turned off the light, and he sat down, and I remember him unbuckling his belt and pulling the belt off his pants. I never saw him strap or hit anybody, although I found out years later that I guess he did hit my brother with the belt many times. Anyways, on this night, I remember starting to cry, and I started begging Daddy. I started saying, "Daddy, please don't. Daddy, don't." And the most humiliating thing to me was what he had asked next, which was, he said, "Take your pants down, and take your pants down and get over my lap." He was going to hit me with his belt relentlessly, I guess, because he thought he had lost me or I was gone, and that he went into madness. And I remember my mother used to hit me with wooden spoons all the time. All of us, she'd chase us around she'd say, "You have 8 seconds to get to your room," if it was time to go to bed at night, or we got sent to our room for whatever reason, and she'd give us 8 seconds to run. And I had a lock on my door, or I'd run to the bathroom where there was a lock on the door. We knew where to run. And a lot of times, sometimes she'd hit us with the spoon, get us on the ass, but she never asked us to take our pants down. My father had never seen me without my pants up, for like discipline or anything like that. And I felt humiliated. He kept telling me to take my pants down over and over again in this voice that I didn't even recognize. And I started yelling because my mom told me many times before, she said, "If your father ever hits you in any way or form," she says, "we're going to pack our bags and we're going to be out of here so fast he won't even know it hit him. He's not allowed to ever touch you. He's not allowed to ever hit you. And you yell and you scream if that ever happens." And so I remembered that on this night. And I started yelling really loud. I said, "No, Daddy, no. Please don't. Daddy, no." And he went over and he started grabbing me, and I yelled at the top of my lungs. I said, "Mom, Dad's going to hit me." And all I hear is her running. And about 5 seconds later, she opened the door, turned on the light, and she said, Julie out. And she said to my dad, if you ever do this again or lay a finger on my daughter, she says, that's the last time you ever see me or the children. And she lost it. Dad put his belt back on around his waist, never said another word, never touched me again, never saw the belt again. But that night, Mom said, go to your room, pack your suitcase, we're out of here. And I begged her not to go. I begged her not to break up our family. I begged her so that we could stay together. Because I was afraid I thought it was my fault because I was bad, because I got away and because I went into that building and was talking to somebody that I deserved whatever was going to happen. But if you're listening out there, just think before you do things. Don't humiliate your child. I know that pulling the pants down makes it so it hurts more, but it also, I think even more than that, is to humiliate the child because you think they'll never do it again if you do something like that to them. But I am telling you, if you do that to your child, if you've already done it, that is something they'll never forget, and you will forever change who they are, and you will take away their innocence instantaneously, and they will never look up to you or respect you again for the rest of your life. Just know that if you're going to lay a hand or do anything to your child, you know how the saying goes, pick on somebody your own size. Your child's not your size. Remember, they're just little people that are learning, just like you did when you were little. And I think sometimes a parent forgets that. I was bawling my eyes out in the sink with water running on my hands because it was like I was in that room again. Because I was triggered from watching this movie tonight. And I was bawling my eyes out saying, I'm sorry, Daddy, I'm sorry, I'll be a good girl, I'll be a good girl. Please, don't hurt me. Don't hurt your child. Don't humiliate your child. Teach them. Learn from them. But don't hurt them. And definitely don't humiliate them, please. That's it. I just wanted to share that story with you. I had to get it out there. Because sometimes parents do things that I don't think they're thinking when they do things. And a parent needs to be thinking at all times. Thinking about how it's going to affect that child. I never had respect for my father again after that night, and I never trusted him again. And I kept my distance from him, and I started moving very far away from him mentally and physically. And I did everything I could to get out of that house and away from him as fast as I could, because that was him being possessive over me, and that's just not okay on any level. Love your children, teach your children, but don't humiliate them. Please don't hurt them. That's my story tonight. Good night.